Kano State Anti-Corruption Commission discovered more than 16,000 bags of rice in this warehouse. They were donated to Kano State by Tinubu for distribution during the Ramadan period. But somehow, his handlers and his party men didn't distribute all the rice. And right now, they are rebagging them for resale this festive period. So how does this relate to the title that Tinubu is already campaigning for 2027? Well, isn't that obvious? He is using state money to buy palliatives for distribution to the people. And it is illegal to use state money for campaign purposes. If he's using state money to buy palliatives for distribution, his picture shouldn't be on it. It is not his money. And having his picture on the bags of rice, despite the fact that it was purchased with state money, means he's trying to market himself to Kano people. There's another word for it. It is called campaign. And there's more proof that he truly intended to campaign with the rice, despite being paid for by Nigerians. He distributed the rice through his party men. The Deputy Senate President and the Minister of State for Defense were charged at the time for the distribution of the rice. They are all APC members. Remember that Kano State has a governor. If he was aware that this rice was stored at the warehouse, he wouldn't allow it. He would have made sure that the palliative was distributed to everyone in Kano State. But they bypassed the Kano State governor and went through their party men. At the end of the day, they didn't even distribute all the rice that was paid for by Nigerians. They distributed only a few. Maybe the few they distributed, they passed it through their party members at the ward level. And now they want to resell rice that has been written off at the federal level as palliatives. They want to sell it off. This time, the money will go to their pockets. Now, to summarize what happened here, whether they budgeted for this rice or not, executive office holders always have slush funds that they use to spend on anything they want. This slush fund can come from security votes. Of course, you know no one accounts for it in Nigeria. Even the National Assembly or State Assembly have no right to demand from the executive governor or the president to come and explain how he spent security vote. But the most important thing here is that it is state money. They use that state money to buy rice in large quantities. Imagine they discovered more than 16,000 bags in this warehouse alone. Instead of moving that rice to Kano State, hey, the federal government under my administration is donating this rice to you. Just distribute it to your people to celebrate Ramadan. All the governor would have done at that time was to invite all the 44 local government chairmen in Kano State. Hey, federal government brought this rice. Come and take delivery of your own. Each local government chairman will go to his local government and call all the ward people to come and take their share. That's the end of it. But instead, they passed it through their party. From their party members, a minister that was appointed by Tinubu and all that, they took that rice and stored in a warehouse and they started sharing the rice. Of course, they didn't share all of them, which constitutes stealing and criminal conversion, because at this point, before the delivery to the people who are supposed to receive them, it still remains the property of the federal government. Now, this should give people a glimpse of what the opposition will be facing in 2027. They will be facing a Tinubu who will be depending on state funds. He will be spending state funds to campaign in 2027. He's already doing it through the many palliatives they are distributing. Distributing palliatives through his party men is a form of campaign. It is campaign, not form. Despite the fact that we are not yet in campaign for the presidential election, but they are already doing it. And state funds are limitless, yes, in the sense that no single individual or groups of people can outspend the government. They can even borrow money to spend on campaigns. You can't do anything to them, you can't stop them. At the end of the day, Nigerians will be taxed with repaying the loans they have borrowed. Now, combine this with state capture. The police, the army, security agents, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, not forgetting the suffering Nigerians who are buying egg at 300 naira for one, who can no longer send their children to school, but they will still defend their oppressors. The government that have impoverished them, they will do anything to come to their defense. All of them walk hand in hand in the servitude of one man. Looking at the whole picture, it seems that Tinubu will be undefeatable in 2027. Because of all the enormous powers, he has his hands connected everywhere, he can pull the strings from anywhere. But does that mean Nigerians must give up? Does it mean Nigerians will no longer come out to vote since INEC everything is under his control? Votes don't count, there's nothing you can do in the field that day that will count, they have already written the results and everything. Does it mean Nigerians will no longer come out to vote and just give up and say, we are no longer participating, let them do whatever they want, unless they reform INEC, judiciary, and all other necessary reforms before the presidential election in 2027? Well, some Nigerians share this opinion, but we already analyzed it in the other video. For those who didn't watch it, you can get the link at the end of this video. There we explained why it is better, it is the best solution to come out to vote and defend your vote, rather than saying no, we are not going to vote. And the people who want to steal the votes, you make it easy for them. Anyway, just watch the video if you want to learn more. Now, let's use this opportunity to respond to Baby Gidi. Actually, someone sent us this link, and going through the link where he shared the video, you can see that his argument is that nothing can work. Voting will not work, votes will not count, they've conquered INEC, they've conquered everywhere, there's nothing people can do that will count. Many issues he raised, but his solution, like you can see in the link, is that there must be some sort of revolution. A kind of hard reset that will wipe off the criminal system and the criminal hijack of Nigeria. Then, a people's constitution that Nigerians can be proud of. Many things he listed, but the most important takeaway from what he said is that a revolution must take place. Let's face reality. How will a revolution work in Nigeria? First of all, revolution must come with some sort of violence, because the people Nigerians are up against will not let go peacefully. Yes, that's the reality. And going by Nigeria's history, revolutions that have happened in the past were only by the military in form of military coups. So unless they intervene, there's no headway for Nigerians. And going by recent history, especially what happened under Buhari's administration, how he destroyed Nigeria's economy and all the corruption that happened at that time, the military never intervened. Compare that to how the military intervened during Shagari's administration. You can't compare what they did. In fact, what happened under Shagari's administration wasn't up to 10% of what is happening today. And the military intervened that time, they have refused to intervene today. And we haven't had luck with military coups in Nigeria because they always make the situation worse than they met it. You can say that the military boys are always envious of the politicians. They are envious of the fact that they are not the ones involved in the corruption. They are not in charge of things, managing affairs and doing everything. They are envious of the people, not envious or trying to correct the ills of the politicians, trying to reset corruption, trying to reset everything. That's operating in the real sense of revolution. Rather, all we have seen is military being worse than the people they removed from power, from Buhari's administration in the 80s to IBB, who worsened the situation, introduced SAP and everything. Is it Abacha that stole more than $5 billion? So the only way Nigerians can force an intervention by the military is by making Nigeria ungovernable, shutting down everywhere to the extent that nobody can function. No one can go to work, government officials can go to work, even with their motorcades. Legislators everywhere will be shut down, ports will not be operating, they will have no option than to intervene. That's the only way. But can Nigerians do it? Absolutely not. Even to come out for protest, people couldn't do that back in August. Many people were just giving excuses, all sorts of excuses not to come out to protest. But they will never use that time to tell you the solution. They will be giving you all sorts of reasons why something will not work. No one will ever come up and tell you, okay, this is how to counter it, this is how to make it work. So as you can see, the only way the recommendation of Baby Gidi on that post on Nairaland can happen is by revolution. And if you look at the analysis already made, you will see that revolution is not an easy task. In fact, it is the most difficult of all, because someone that is already in power will never allow you to remove him, especially through unconstitutional means. Yes, democracy might not be working. In fact, not might, it is not working right now. They are trying to turn Nigeria to a one-party state, but people must still keep working under the law. You must still keep working under the existing system. Once you go outside the existing system, you are falling into their trap. You are exposing yourself to harm because they will come after you. They will say, you are breaking the law, will come to you. So unless you are prepared for an armed struggle, which of course you know is suicidal, you can't beat them, you cannot match the Nigerian military. And that will make you a target for destruction. They will come after you very hard because you've given them all the excuses they need to come hard on you. This is what they are looking for. They are just looking for an excuse, and you are giving them that excuse on a platter. This brings us back to voting. It is our only weapon, and it is the easiest and the safest. It's less risky for an average individual to come out to vote. After all, every election day in Nigeria is a work-free day. All someone needs to do is wake up on election day, go out to your polling unit and cast your vote. Maybe hang around for a few hours to ensure that the votes are counted and correctly recorded, and onward to the collation centers, stand your ground in massive numbers, make it clear to them that no one is rigging an election here. All other issues, you have to find ways to counter them. Yes, if you feel they are trying to rise results, counter them immediately, because you know that in 2027 no one is going to any court. It's a waste of time. All the time people spend in identifying obstacles and how they will steal the votes and write results, why not spend more time in trying to find countermeasures, in trying to beat the obstacles? This is what Nigerians should be doing right now. They should be brainstorming to find solutions to what is in front of them, how to beat them. Because when you look at all the other options that are available to make a change in Nigeria, it is only through the votes that is the safest, it is the easiest to accomplish. Nigerians have done it before in 2015. Whether you like what happened, whether you think election was rigged, the most important thing is that opposition defeated a sitting government.
14, 15, 16.